Yes, of course. So welcome you all, and thanks for having me. My name is Arjan Nieuwenhuis, and I will shortly introduce myself in my slide deck. I don't know if my slide deck is already showing. I don't think so. Can we put that on up? Yes. Okay. Very good. So something about me. I'm Arjan Nieuwenhuis. I'm software and solution architect at Capgemini. I studied computer science in University of Utrecht. Did a master thesis there as well. And from there on started at Capgemini as a developer first. A bit ashamed, but yes, I started off as a Java developer. In a few months, I switched to more mobile. And since then, I've been mobile developer, mobile architect, and building up to solution architect, what I am today, related with a lot of new technologies and cloud. On the slide, you see my family. I'm quite proud of it, and I love to spend time with them. And so that's a big cheer. Further, I like to tend my garden and grow my own veggies. So I like to see things bloom and grow, and that's also from a professional perspective something about me. I like to see that. So shall I continue with? I think so. So let's head on to the topic at hand. Tonight, I want to tell you something about Visual Studio App Center. I will tell you a little bit about the world of apps, the challenges we are quite all facing when we talk about apps, and what key features does Visual Studio App Center bring us to speed up things and also to make our life easier. So the world of apps. You all know the familiar ones, right? So building apps for Apple, for Android, for Google, and for Windows, Microsoft. So that's the usual stuff, right? So you can have iOS apps, iPadOS apps. You can even do macOS and tvOS. Android, of course, with Java and Kotlin underneath. Windows apps, universal platform, but also still WinForms. Where it gets more excited, I think, personally, is the world of multi-platform apps. So what can we do to have one single code base, and from there on distribute those apps to the native stores? And we can do it with React, we can do it with Xamarin, of course. And on top of that, quite new feature is also the apps that Unity bring to mobile, so to enable mixed reality on your mobile via App Center, of course. The whole thing about those apps is that in general they are multi-factor. And what do I mean with that? Is that you have millions of devices, of course, and you have certain streams of devices. And those devices tend to have different form factors. And to cope with that, the whole world of mobile is or restricting the number of devices and the way how they present themselves and limit the form factors. Or you come into the realm of more web-like responsive apps, which take up more space when there is more space to take. And I will come back to that in a short while as well. So that's more on the device side. On the distribution side, we all know, of course, the public stores and the Play Store, the Apple Store. And but what you don't know or might not know is that there's also a world in private stores. So we call them enterprise stores. Generally, one of the main contestants on that part is Intune. But you could also think of other mobile device management suites, which provide a certain enterprise-like store where you can store your Android apps or all of the others, all other kinds of apps. The challenges we're facing. Managing multiple apps tends to get big quite fast. And what do I mean with that? Of course, you have the multi-stages. So we have a dev environment with a certain level of apps. We have test environment, we have staging, we have production. But we also tend to have apps that are rebranded. So you multi-tenant apps, or we have multi-platform apps. So which target a whole scala of different platforms, which brings me to the discussion on, or at least it brings me to all the moving parts, because all those platforms already mentioned, so the big ones, Apple, Google, they are whole ecosystems, and they all have similar functionality, but they are tackling it in a different way. And that means that you have, although you have one code base, there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of expectations you need to meet. And there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to, for instance, something quite basic of the signing certificates you need to be able to distribute your apps. I will come back to that on that one as well. So how can Visual Studio App Center make our life easier? We incorporate Visual Studio App Center because it helps us in the four main stages of your app. It helps you and guides you within the building steps of your app. It guides you and helps you with testing your app and bringing and distributing it, sideloading it to certain devices. And furthermore, when it's in production or in a certain stage and you want to monitor it, you can use App Center to track it, see the usage, see the crash reports, but also zoom in on certain level of analytics that we can do. I will not have the time to show you everything, but therefore I just picked some small things, and that gives also some room to make it a sequel or a revisit in the future. So let me stop my slide and let's show what I prepared. And this is always quite a challenging one. I hope you can see this all. I will zoom in a minute. At least I tend to. It is not zooming. Okay, that's a bit awkward. So let me first say that I started off with a new project, and it's not something fancy.
Arjan, can you please zoom in a bit?
Yeah, I'm trying, but it's not zooming. I should also be able to zoom in via Teams, right? Yeah, maybe that will help. Maybe I can here. Let's do some pinching then. Let's do it this way. So let me make this some bigger. Is it getting better? I hope so. So what we see here is a Xamarin Form solution. We have an iOS and an Android component. It's just new, and you can easily do this. And you can start off with just state files, new project, and I took the liberty of doing a flyout app, and I modified it a bit for this particular case. So what is important, of course, is to manage your NuGet packages. You need to add your App Center. I will show you in a bit. So you need to install certain NuGet packages to be able to use Microsoft App Center within your solution. And I do this particularly because I wanted to demo what you can do on crashes and analytics. And in a minute, I will also step over to App Center, the platform, and introduce what steps I took there. I hope you can all also read this. So let me show you quickly what needs to be done. So you have a project. You want to introduce some crash analytics or some other analytics of Visual Studio App Center to monitor your app on the App Center suite. There are multiple approaches, and if you go into the bear with me, guys. I'm on preview. Okay. Let's do something different. I will come back to the solution. Let's first start off with App Center now. So I started the solution from a technical perspective in the Visual Studio project. This is the main view on App Center. App Center is the suite we are talking about today, and I added, just to show the capabilities of the platform, I added 2 apps. I will only really show the Android app, but the iOS app is there as well. I can show it in a minute when I have my simulator up and running. It's as simple as adding an app for a certain level of stage you want to start. Just select what you need. In my particular case, it was Android, of course, and I chose Xamarin. But there's also a route you can take, and that's doing iOS, of course. Here you also see already what kind of support you have from App Center on the certain topics of apps. You see a whole scala of apps. We have Unity in here. We have Xamarin in here. We have Cordova. Is in preview. React Native, and of course the Objective-C and Swift. Well, for Java we have Kotlin and Java for Android, of course. And we have UWP and WPF and WinForms and Unity for Windows. So I selected, I created those apps, and so you can from the platform you can build the apps, you can test the apps, you can distribute it, and you can distribute it 2 ways. You can use App Center as a side-loading platform to be able to use on devices which aren't registered anywhere. It has some pros and cons, of course, and not everything is safe. But doing this in just a test and dev environment really speeds up things. So I can recommend that. And from there on, you can also distribute it to the stores. To do so, there are some things you need to be to take in place, of course, on the stores itself. And you need to pre-register your app and those kind of things. You set up your signing certificates and all those kind of things that you need. But when they're all in place and you have incorporated them into your solution, you can choose to build it locally and just upload the package. But build gives you also the possibility to hook up with any, well, not any, but the most popular repro platforms that we currently know. So Azure DevOps, GitHub, but also GitLab and Bitbucket, so the Atlassian suite. It works also the other way around. So you can also have extensions. So for example, I have Azure DevOps environment, and from there, sorry. So I have a Azure DevOps environment. From the Azure DevOps environment, I created, of course, a project. I have a Git repo in place. From there on, you can also define your pipelines. I haven't done that right now, but I wanted to show is that you can easily hook up with your repo, state, hey, I want to build an Android app. And from there on, this would be your typical YAML. When you show we'll zoom try to show you this. When you open up the task assistant, you will also see that you have tools to link up directly as an extension of your pipeline to distribute it and configure it for your pipeline for your app center. Sorry. So it needs some information. I will not do that right now, but you can mention that the outcome of your pipeline, that kind of archive packages, is then distributed to certain groups, certain builds in your app center, representative of the app. So having done that, you can also test your apps. I will not do that right now, but I will just wanted to show you that you can create, so start testing your app. Okay, well, you can do it on a lot of mobile apps. So you can, for instance, see that you have a whole spectrum of all kind of apps which you can run your app on and test it. And it goes for Android apps, but it goes also for certain Android levels and all the things you need. Mind you that running these apps and running them on all kind of devices is quite costly. So it is advisable to use not the usual suspects or and target and zoom in on certain problem areas that you have received from the crash analytics within App Center to target down to a select number of devices where you want to test it on. Yeah, distribute. I will come back to that one. I mentioned already some diagnostics. So of course I modified my app, and I modified it a bit so that we could see at least some crashes and some errors. I'm just raising some test crash report, so that's not that fancy. But yeah, let's just see. I will switch back to the code again. I hope it's working. So just let me. I really thought I made some sacrifices to the demo gods, but they are not working for me today. So let me quickly shut this one down. Try again. It's trying to start up Visual Studio. 1 sec. It's really trying to start up a preview. Separately, I will also start Visual Studio, the older version. See which one's quicker.
Just updated it, so it's kind of teasing you with the new functionality.
Exactly.
Oh. Help you with something.
Nope, no updates today. I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, or can we help you with something?
Well, it's starting up, but it's starting out. Okay. Maybe it's way too small for you guys, right? So I will try and close this one down a bit. I was just wondering, so I am trying to go and zoom in again. And I will do it with a pinch, and that should work. Oh, this is, okay. Can I do it this way? No. Ah, here we are. So this feature wasn't working in the preview one. Okay. Just for the sake of argument that we have, and that I've done my homework, I will start up the iOS build. It will show in a minute. And from there on, I will also, this goes quite fast on a Mac. Here it is already. So the demo app I just adjusted, it's just a flyout, nothing fancy. The only thing I had built in is that I reused the login page for being able to trigger. So if I click this button, it will trigger App Center, and it will show a certain log, and then go back to this starting page. And I give it let's give it some time for the events. Sorry, should have been here. So this should be, no, it's not the one. Okay, let's just settle this one. I will switch over to Android. And we'll pull in my Android emulator as well. Where did it go? Ah, here it is. So we have same app now within the context of Android. What you see is the flyout is then replaced with a menu bar button. Same triggering it can take place. So I will also click it here, and I will refresh this one. And last day, see if it comes in. No, it's an old one. It's a new old one. So it takes some time for these to eventually be able to be logged. And I have an error here. Yeah. Okay. Well, at least I can. Okay. Well, the rest of the what I adjusted in the app was something basic. So if we just browse, we get a nice a detail page. So a list page, and we click on it, we get a detail page. And every time I click on this, it states which item I selected and stores that back to the analytics part of Visual Studio App Center. And the other thing I did is when I add just an item, I can just add an item, say hello and hello Azure Thursdays. It's just been added to the list. And if I click it, it will have the detail page, and then it will also add. Giving this, I send some information via this app, just plain to see and show you all these nice kind of reports that come out of it. So in general, we have the issue tracker. So it sees about the health and the usage of your app. Sorry, the health of your app. You can zoom in on certain levels. As you can see here, I will make it a bit smaller. You can select some time difference. You can select certain build numbers. You can select the version of the app. And regarding the number of issues, you say the number of accounts, how many individual users have been influenced. And when you distribute your app and you also add some symbolics, you get even crash reports that can drill down even to the classes. So it really helps you find out where things go wrong and what you need to address. And it could be that there are certain devices where this is applicable, and then you can do, for instance, a specific test via test clouds on those kind of devices that have been hit. So if I zoom in on this one, this is not the current one, although it's hard to see because of course I'm on a Apple Silicon MacBook currently, so it will add up as a Google emulator. So I can not really differentiate but you can see when it's happening. So this is typically not now. So when you monitor your app, you want to also see, hey, how many users do I have, and how many users do I have monthly, weekly, daily, and those kinds of information is easily displayed. Further, you see how long certain sessions are doing, what the top devices are that you are currently using your app. And you can also see what kind of OS levels and those kind of things where they are on. Current languages, of course, but also, and that's nice to see, the geography or of the usage of your app. So currently, I don't know why, but most of my services are being routed via the United States. And you see one small dot here in the Netherlands, and the other ones are unknown. So yeah, let me quickly proceed. I mentioned already the count on the details. Hopefully, the one that I'm looking for is in here. I added, of course, certain ones. And if I scroll down a bit, I hope you can see that as well. I should be able to. No, let's not do that. Can I see it? Okay. And I go here. An item has been added. So this is the raw logs, and they tend to go a bit faster than the displayed nice portal ones. But as you can see here, I stated I added an item. And furthermore, I clicked on it to display the hello and the hello Azure Thursdays. So that at least shows it's working. So that's nice. So if we go into the details on the which details I've been clicking, we can see it as well. And here you see, for example, I had a text called hello, and which was part of one of the things I've been clicking. And you see, well, this is just some random GUIDs associated with those items. Every time I spin up, there are new GUIDs being displayed. But you can imagine that using this kind of technology, and you are free to add those analytics. Of course, there are limitations, but on certain level, on certain specifics you want to target, or you want to know something about the usage, how do people use your app within the app, you can place those kind of messages and send that information to analytics. And from there on, you gather that data, and for that data, you can determine how the app is being used. And this is just a simple example of a certain analytics that you could introduce. From there, you have I think about 250 different analytics types you could add and within your app. So there's a lot of data you could collect if you want to do it, or if it's if your people, so if the crowd is willing to let you gather that intel, of course, is also debatable. But from a health perspective of the app, of course, you can to make sure that everything is running smoothly. Analytics, yes, is a step ahead. You can monitor. And gather information on people, or at least on phones, running your apps. I don't claim that it's directly a GDPR issue or something, but you need to be mindful of which kind of events you are adding, and what are you trying to achieve. So with App Center, you can do this, and this is of course very nice. But the main thing, which is also very nice, is that you could sideload these kind of apps onto devices. And for that, I will also show you. I just already uploaded an APK or an AAB, an Android application bundle, in prior this session. And if I go there, then I have multiple options. I can download it, but hey, on the Mac, I don't need any APK. I want to have this on a device. So you can organize yourself to have certain groups, and within those groups, you can then set certain testers. And within the testers, you can then say, hey, I want to distribute a certain release to a certain test group, and they can or are allowed to sideload that app to do their tests. So this is ideal for user acceptance tests, for example, or other kinds of tests within the tester just wants to test on a specific physical device. Then you can. So when you it goes, you can do this on multiple ways. You can have a certain public link. I do not advise it, but you can do that and distribute that link for a certain period of time. But you could also do it via a QR code. So you now see a QR code. I don't hope you're all gonna install it, but you can try it. And I will do the same currently on my phone. And then just take a, let's say, Google Lens for instance. If you have a Android phone, that is. If you have a iOS, you could use the other camera app, and it will recognize a link. And if you click that link, of course, you get some intel on, hey, it's not safe to sideload the app and all those kind of things. And of course, you need to have a Microsoft account to be able to log into App Center. And one side note I want to give you guys before I go back to my presentation is that a main thing that goes wrong is that these devices are set on showing a desktop version of App Center. So make sure in your device, in your browser options, that you set it on the mobile way of. Because if you show just the desktop version of the app, you cannot click on a download or install button. It will not be visible. So that's something practical to take home with you guys. So I downloaded.
I guess that's a very nice way to wrap up the presentation, Arjen. I don't want to cut you off, but
So if there aren't any questions, please feel free to address them.
Yes, because I did have
currently
one
my
small
phone
question.
is downloading it, downloading the app. So in the meantime, if I have a result, then I will show it in a sec.
Yeah,
but this
no
is a
worries.
nice way to keep control of who's getting the app.
Okay, so in the meantime, let me quickly ask one question, and then I would kindly ask you to check out the chat for any other questions that might have passed already. So the one question that I have is, I noticed that you were showing different emulators for iOS and for Android. But does that mean that the App Center provides those emulators, and do I need a certain OS? Like, can I only do the iOS emulator on a MacBook, or can I also do that from a Windows device?
Well, you can currently use some Macs in a virtual way, so that you could use a simulator. But there's a small difference. And the main difference is that we have the world of emulators and we have the world of simulators.
Mm-hmm.
And the devices simulated by Apple on their devices are simulations.
Okay.
That means they are not the same, not the byte by byte the same as the emulators. So if an app works on a simulator, it's not guaranteed that it will work on a physical device.
Okay, that makes sense.
And for an emulator, it is. And so that's a main difference. Android, of course, can do both. Can run easily on Windows and Mac. Simulators only work because they are distributed via Xcode on a Mac system. But there are ways to virtualize a Mac these days. I tend for real testing purpose, I tend to use physical devices because simulators aren't that reliant.
Well, that makes sense, and that also gives me a very good business case to talk to my manager and persuade the next purchase of a MacBook. So
exactly.
Thank you very much for.
Apple loves to have you on a Mac OS, right?
That's good to know. So thank you very much for presenting. Unfortunately, we have to go on and introduce our next speaker. So please hang around, answer some of the questions that might pop up in the chat. And once again, thanks, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. And my maiden virgin, the maiden voyage I had these days. So yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.